Hi, I'm Peter Giannetti, editor-in-chief of HomePage News. And welcome to InSight Plus, an exclusive curator's perspective on the creation and presentation of the HomePage News InSight Trend Index 2023/24. The InSight Trend Index is a first of its kind comprehensive digital report examining emerging and enduring home and housewares trends through the products and innovations that embody them. The InSight team explored influential industry trade shows in the US and abroad to identify global trends driving growth and expansion across home and housewares. There are 9 portfolios in the InSight Trend Index, ranging from at-home entertaining and outdoor living to trends in material and color, and culminating with a look at the encompassing wellness trend. The portfolios are amalgamations of how consumers are living, the evolution of those lives in their homes, and what we found to be the roots of ongoing consumer lifestyles that drive today's trends. We'll hear today directly from InSight Report curator and author Tom Mirabli, an industry trend analyst and founder of Springboard Futures, and from report designer Dawn Evans, director of marketing for the International Housewares Association. Tom and Dawn will take you behind the curtain to show how each of the 9 InSight trend portfolios came into view. Tom and Dawn will also explain why now is a pivotal time for such a vivid exploration of the trends in lifestyle, design, function, and material driving today's innovations, and how HomePage News InSight Trend Index can be used as a practical tool for manufacturers and retailers cultivating the next growth opportunities for home and housewares. Welcome to Tom and Dawn. Let's get started by giving our viewers some insight, sorry, couldn't help myself, into the inspiration behind the report. Tom, what got this report started and why does the industry need this information?
Thanks, Peter. And welcome everybody. During and after the pandemic, there was a lot of talk about the role of trend, concerns that all the trends curves have changed, because of the state of flux that physical retail was in. People were asking questions like, does trend even matter anymore? But post-pandemic, understanding trends has become more important, if anything. In today's marketplace, every player, every manufacturer, every retailer, every brand, everyone has to have an identifiable persona, a point of view, a reason for being, really. The pandemic had an interesting humanizing effect in that it altered consumers' expectations of companies, of the way that and brands. And pre-pandemic, consumers liked companies that broadcast "we get you," but today they're responding to companies that really radiate "we are you." Will help you create the experiences, the life you want, and that means creating sort of assortments that reflect who you want to be and the life you want to live, and that's where trend really plays an important part.
Thanks, Tom. Also, we're so well aware that in the pandemic, it really cut into everyone's budget and the viability of travel for many in our industry. And we thought it was important to deliver a global perspective to the industry. Consumers have never been kind of more informed or influential. In many ways, we need to keep up with them, kind of to your point.
Yeah, thanks, Tom and Dawn. I think this is actually a good spot for us to talk about the definition of trend from the point of view that InSight takes it. It's a word that means so many things to so many different people. Tom?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question because trend is such an incredibly broad term, and a lot of times we automatically associate it with color and style and so on. But really, trend is a business concern. And as a business concern, is really manifold. It has to encompass consumer trends and material trends, societal trends, economic trends, lifestyle trends. And of course, color, style, and design trends are a part of that. But we take it from a position that, trends don't create themselves, and they're not created by some, mystic on a mountaintop somewhere. Trends are driven by consumers. They start there always. And they are, consumers escalate them, consumers destroy them. We've seen that, we see that every day. We see it with Barbie, how fast it skyrocketed. It skyrocketed because consumers loved it. And trends are basically an indication of whether or not you're resonating with an audience and how, and whether that builds. But, Michelle Lamb says, of the trend curve, says there isn't a trend out there that's not rooted in a lifestyle influence. And I really believe that that's a great way to look at it. Analysis and forecasting is scientific, and we really wanted to approach it from that business perspective. Trends explored like the characteristics of a trend. And for our purposes, we look at the volume and velocity of a trend. How great is the impact of it on the market? How fast is it progressing? And what are the variables affecting those two factors? The bell curve of a trend, it changes based on who you are as a retailer and what the environment is that you're in. So it's not always easy, but that's where we sort of started from.
And trend is really global, Tom. And that was what we set out to do with the HomePage News InSight Trend Index, was to provide that global perspective by shopping shows across the United States and Europe. Tell us which markets we covered and why.
Well, to Dawn's point, post-pandemic and since, there are a lot of buyers who can't travel as much. There are a lot of markets that are hard to get to. So we covered any market that we really felt influenced home and housewares. So Paris, London, Milan, New York Now, New York Shop Object, the New York Tabletop Show, of course, Atlanta, High Point, Frankfurt, Stockholm. We also, of course, covered the Inspired Home Show. So anything that was a strong influence in the home and housewares industry, we wanted retailers and manufacturers and brands to see.
Dawn, Tom and his team had to start by getting all this content, everything from their experiences at all these shows. But I'm curious, putting it together into 9 portfolios and a total package, how did the concept of what we wanted to deliver evolve? And this is something that sort of serves a lot of different people in the industry, retailers, manufacturers, designers. There's so many people that we want this to sort of resonate with. How did you go about putting together this report so it accomplished our goals?
I'm only smiling because had I known in the very beginning of this, the life that it would take on, I mean, I think it took all of us kind of by a pleasant surprise. So originally, the concept for this was sort of this inspirational trend lookbook. It was positioned where we kind of got together, and we realized, though, pretty early on that it was really a bigger opportunity to really turn this into something that had a bigger obligation to make it more practical and actionable for anyone to be able to peruse this trend book, to be able to serve business partners in the industry really effectively, and not just have it be beautiful for the sake of being beautiful. Listen, I think it turned out the collaboration between all of us to really have the end product be what it turned out to be. I'm really proud of it. I think we all did a really good job, but there's a reason behind that. It's because it morphed from being this really original kind of like the single vehicle concept to working through it. It became this kind of, became a life all of its own. It turned into a storytelling device that we could divide these portfolios into meaningful product curations.
Yeah, and it actually has to tell a story, as I said, to different types of professionals in this industry, a diverse audience. And we wanted this to be a tool that could be used across all those disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were we put everything into kind of this visual context for everyone to help the story kind of make sense. Everyone kind of reacts to things that are really visual. But I think we took it a step further by really going across multiple markets and across categories where it made sense. We didn't force it, but it kind of became an organic kind of way to kind of put all of these products together.
Well, I can't think of a better place to turn this over to Tom and Dawn, who are going to take you through the 9 portfolios in depth to give their vision of how this came together and how the industry can use it as a tool to help them do more business in the home and housewares marketplace.
And welcome. Now it's time to really get into the InSight Trend Index Plus. The reason we added a plus is because what you're going to be getting now is really some background information. As Tom and I were really kind of going through this and pulling it together, what went into that and what went into creating the trends and how they are represented here.
And also how to use it effectively in merchandise planning and strategy.
So Tom, I know we touched on the markets in the introduction, but can you go over what went into that decision for what exhibitions were most important to cover and why?
Well, you can see on the screen the exhibitions that we covered, and you were there for many of them. I think that our reason was we picked the shows that were going to be most influential to American markets and global markets, and to see, when you see a trend happening across all of these markets, you can be sure that it's something that's going to be important to large concerns. In this section, what I really loved about this is we throughout this process, we've been consulting different people on, how important is trend right now? What does it mean? How can it be used? And we were so impressed by those opinions that we actually included some of them.
Yeah, and this is what we kind of called our trend perspectives. And what I loved about this is it really was about different people from all different roles in the industry. You had trend forecasters, data analysts, and product developers. You really heard from all spectrums of the industry, which is great, and really verified kind of how we were approaching this.
Yeah.
So looking through all of the 9 portfolios, I'm really remembering back to how they came about and how they themselves evolved over the course of producing this index. Can you speak a little to that, Tom, about how we kind of ended up here?
Well, the portfolios are really amalgamations of sort of how consumers are living, the evolutions of those trends, and what we believe are going to be the ongoing consumer lifestyles and product concerns that are really going to drive business. It all comes down to business and helping people do more of it.
And speaking of trends that evolved, Portfolio 1 really transformed from an overarching trend of at-home entertaining, but broken down into consumer personas. As the products really themselves started to tell the stories, they were about personal style and preference. The artist is our first persona. What I really love about this one is the uninhibited kind of self-expression that's really evident in these products. Whether it do textures, unexpected functionality, even fine art inspired pieces. Really what comes across is these are pieces that people are making a statement with when they are entertaining people in their home.
The contemporarist is a very different sensibility. It's much more based in the minimalist aesthetic that is really important right now. And of course, it moved into home and housewares. So you'll see simpler lines, very minimal forms, but also focus on functionality and multifunctionality, like this knife block that you see from Sebastian Conran that also has the tools in front of the knife block.
And that kind of brings us to the naturalist. It really they like to create an environment of ease and calm with an appreciation for really the world around us. Personally, I'm in love with that slide open spherical presentation bowl by Tapas, and just as much the teak house, that kind of collection of cutting boards that you have that all feel very unique on their own.
The postmodernist, again, sort of approaches that modern, sort of simple, functionally based aesthetic, but you have a lot more color here. Very practical, a lot of mixed use, but very bold statements in color and form. And that's what we love about it.
The traditionalist, what I like about this is it's really about being the new traditionalist. What's different about it is it's really kind of taking something that might be seen as busy or old-fashioned and giving it a more fresh, modern aesthetic to it.
We also wanted to include a couple of spreads about gifting, because gifting has created so much new business in home and housewares. So many retailers, for example, that just aren't in a housewares business necessarily, or even a home business, are able to bring gifts to the fore and do a lot more business in Q3 and Q4 with some of these great products that speak to just great item businesses. The next portfolio is material evidence. And with material evidence, we wanted to focus on some of, yes, of course, recycle, repurpose, reclaim, renew. Those were all important stories, but also different ways that people are combining materials. So Materials Matter is the first of 2 sections in here, and it's talking about interesting material combinations of light and dark woods, or leather and wood, clear glass and steel. So you see a lot of really unique combinations, leather and wood, as you look through these products. And of course, there are green statements in here.
Yeah, you'll notice, Tom, that also within this portfolio, it was important for us to not only let the products speak for themselves, which we do in all of the other portfolios, but really important to give the products here more text. We had to tell the reader why materials were more meaningful and even innovative.
Yeah, I think that and I think you did a really amazing job of that. Here again, you look at pieces like this fry pan, that it's aluminum, it's sustainable beechwood handle, and it dismantles so you can recycle it. Or this great stuff from Gleaner, the Super Eco Scrubber. Again, throw it in a landfill and it just dissolves over time because it's made of a completely natural materials.
Yeah, take a look at the Casabina. It's a perfect example of the combination of materials that really kind of checks all those boxes. They're all multifunctional. They have natural food safe cork trays. They triple as covers, trays, trivets, and I mean they're oven to table, fridge to oven. It's pretty much everything in one kind of in one setting there.
A lot of use. Yeah. Neo-natural is the second section. We wanted to just show you a little bit of things that are some are on the horizon, some are happening right now. New technologies are enabling so much, like the bioplastic from Verdi at the far right is not even technically a plastic because it is made with completely vegetable materials. The espresso cup and saucer is actually made with espresso grounds.
Oh yeah, the cafe form. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's really
cool.
So
this spread, they're all rescued materials here. It's such a powerful statement. If you were to just look at the green glass drinkware here, you might not even realize that they're upcycled post-consumer wine bottles.
Again, you see, products that are made from cafe form out of biodegradable. They're made from recycled coffee grounds. On the left, Krill Design came up with a bowl that is made out of lemon peels and it's 3D printed. So it can be made locally. All About Ease was a really important trend. I think it's probably one of the most important trends that is going because it touches so many other things. And the idea behind it is that ease is important because it helps people do more with less time and less space and all of those things, saving consumers time, making less work for them, basically, whether that work is cleanup or not, is really what the mission of this trend was about. So many new products.
Research is telling us too that ease of use really is kind of the over half of the, respondents in some of our surveys were saying ease of use is the #1 purchase influencer. I mean, take a look at the ones in problem solved. It's everything is looking at a problem, a consumer pain point, and addressing it through their product design. So you look at the Dash, the Safe Slice mandolin. All of these products, they take something that is a very functional household item, but they're looking at a pain point. They're saying, okay, how do we make this better? How do we make it different?
Saving waste was also reducing waste. 40% of produce in the U.S. is wasted, just goes right into a landfill. And it was great to see products, new products that helped you use that more. But also, things like Dream Farm, this R2 spice mill. You can create your own grind. You can create what goes into it, what gets ground is also, completely up to you.
You're seeing a lot of that customization almost, where people are personalizing those.
And even the Good Cook piece on the top right, being able to make 3 different things in one pan, from Good Cook, just amazing.
Yeah. One side note from a production standpoint, here's a really great example. As we were putting these together, we had a lot of photographs of great products, but sometimes, like if you look at that cord wrapper, the power cord organizer, such an amazing kind of small, like innovation that makes such a big difference, but it was hard to kind of let the viewer understand what it was doing. So this was a good example of, we had to use some outlines of these products to really showcase what the innovation was.
Space is also a real problem for people. So, if you look at on the left, we had Masterclass, this nesting, all of those utensils, all of those pans, all fit into the piece that you see as outlined on just below it on the right. These nesting cookware from Dash, just everything is about space and solutions. Here again, it's about look at Lomi's 4-hour high-speed composter. Who would have thought that you can compost something in 4 hours and use it right away?
In this next section, get it together. The pandemic created a wave of new consumer demand for solutions around storage, organization that are still driving business today. Best were the innovative products that really expanded on the aesthetic and the performance and versatility of all of these categories.
Yeah, same thing on this spread. When you look at a room screen that doubles as a shelf unit, or a desk that can fold up into the size of this Alwyn piece that has is organizer drawers. A lot of us didn't go back to the office full time. A lot of us are still working from home. And so it really speaks to that. Same thing here with organization, in-fridge organization, pantry organization, very important trends right now. They may seem very functional, but that idea that you talked about, Dawn, with organization making us feel better about ourselves and our environment, very important.
Yeah, and organization is also just such an important statement across all new product introductions. I'm really big on using products for more than one purpose. It makes me kind of feel super clever and resourceful at the same time. It's why, something like the Goody Life collapsible tray and storage rack, I love that you can use it from in the home and then go outside and kind of repurpose it for something completely different, and it's the same product.
Multifunction always does really serve a solution. These, the honey can do pieces, back of door hamper, back of door drying rack. Again, if you use it, it goes away. Reinnovations is another section in here. And we wanted to address the fact that so many great innovations that we've been living with for a while have just gotten better. Like, for example, Brabantia's trash cans that really look more like furniture, very attractive. The idea of a portable induction cooktop from Ciara, and even better, the piece on the left, which is a range top that sucks pollutants and grease and odors out of the air. It's portable, you can move it anywhere, so it's great for like college kids and things like that.
Yeah, this is one of those product collections that just made me go, wow, that's really clever. Each one of them just seems to take something that's existed and just improved on it.
This is probably my favorite spread from this whole piece. And it's just, again, just great reinventions. Geffu's four-way box grater. We get used to a box grater, but then we have a separate item, all of us, that's a mandolin. The fact that they were just able to put two of them into one, so that you have a box grater that also has a mandolin in it, less cleaning, less taking out things, and this Sharple peeler on the right. Just wonderful. Every time you open it and close it, it sharpens it again. So you've got like a new item. Again, just great solutions for every day to save time, to save space, things that take up less space.
Yeah, this is also one of those spreads that just kind of let products be hero on their own and really just put a focus on the innovation. If you look at the Cuisinpro, the egg knife block, it just is kind of a cool, different take on a knife block. You wouldn't kind of see that. You put that out. It's made from two different materials. It's kind of a combination of materials we've seen.
And a lot of them updated decorative elements too.
Yes. Yep.
So, Dawn, take us into Pantone Color Watch.
Oh, gladly. This is one of my favorites. A little background, though, for you on this portfolio. Every year, Pantone announces the driving palettes that will be shaping the direction the color will be taking in the home products that consumers are going to be choosing to surround themselves with. These palettes are displayed in the entrance of the Inspired Home Show in Chicago, and each palette brings color really to life through vivid imagery in the display cases, and they house different products that align with that palette.
And we're going to take you through these really quick. As you can see, the palette is carried through on the left of each page. But I would really recommend going back and looking at them in stop motion so that you can appreciate the text that Lee Eisman wrote for each of these for us. It's really brilliant, really gives you a sense of why the palette is needed, what sort of consumer it speaks to. It really takes a strong position, which is Lee's position, on the fact that color creates mood. And that today's product really has to do more than just function. It has an emotional role in the home.
Yeah, these are just beautiful. This one especially, it's just so vivid, and the color is so bold.
But it's still very soothing,
Yes.
That's what I love. I just, they're all amazing palettes. And like I said, read the text, just unbelievable.
Yeah, those are warm. They're very just such warm earth tones. They're beautiful.
So fine lines, we call this the new butility. This is really, this section of trends is as much about style and design as it is about function. The idea behind butility is that product has to be as utilitarian as it is beautiful, and that just because we have a product that needs to be functional, it doesn't it has to still be beautiful. We're dealing with a much more educated design consumer, and so that was the reason behind this.
And the best way to, I think, to describe some of these products is just sheer elegance. It's the perfect way to describe them. I remember kind of walking the show and coming across this Simply glassware that you're seeing on the left there, and I really just stopped and admired it for its simplicity and the purity of its form.
A lot of weightlessness.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful.
I think here too, we had, it doesn't, just because something is weightless and light doesn't mean it can't be functional, doesn't mean it can't be colorful. It was moving across different categories, which also.
Yeah, I think at one point you said just technology being used, it makes the product durable, not fragile. I liked that.
Yep.
Yeah.
In glassware, higher magnesium levels that really make that glass much more resilient, dishwasher safe.
And Farberware is a great example of space saving. It's got the space saving design with a super slim, low profile knife block. Again, another knife block that you're going to set out on your counter, and it's decorative and functional.
Raise the bar was another trend. The home sort of bar person started towards the end of the pandemic. We're still seeing a lot of great new product that makes that easier, that makes it, that's beautiful to look at. And we know that, furniture industry is still really going on bar. So we're really going to keep seeing that.
So, Tom, I have a question. How is a retailer or a manufacturer going to decide which of these trends to follow? Or are they just supposed to follow all of them?
Well, not all trends are for every business, of course. You have to know who your consumer, who you serve, the consumers you want to attract in some cases, and what you want to mean to them. Every retailer or manufacturer should generally be able to look at a trend and either see their brand identity in that or not. But from a certain perspective, all of these trends are important just for marketplace awareness. There are so many great examples of companies who've grown by capitalizing on trends that were adjacent to their core concerns. There are so many great trends that have been adopted and expanded by companies who are willing to look outside their market domain and apply their core competencies to a driving consumer lifestyle trend. Home bar is a great example. Coffee, tea, hydration, which we're going to talk about now, another great example of something that started very small, but everybody got in on it and knew how to apply their competency. And a lot of companies have really grown because of that.
Yeah. And one thing I think about this new section, the new trend, the something's brewing, is I think, to your point, companies are really listening to about what those experiences that consumers want to make. They're sort of the experiences we've talked about, and the options on like, for example, the new Mr. Coffee machine. Those are terrific. And Jura has made coffee, and it's an art form, really. It's creating a personalized experience. And this, I know, this is a trend I can get behind 100%. We've talked about the fact that my blood type is espresso. So if we could just stay on this for a moment, but really, this is a perfect example of how fashion continues to really influence function and how giftable that makes these products.
It really does. It really does.
I'm actually not sure what trend I'm more passionate about, Pantone or this one.
Looks like you've got both. So
I realized, though, that I think I have all the products on this page where you should lead to a coffee problem. But the concept of on-the-go brewing is I think a game changer. It's not just about travel mugs and drinking. Drinking it kind of on the go. It's about bringing the process of brewing your coffee on the go. I'm getting ready to go on a road trip actually later this week, and I'm bringing the AeroPress just so I can make sure I can have a good cup of coffee and I don't have
helps you deliver quality on the road. I think the expectation was if you're going to take it on the road, it's going to be horrible, and I think that products prove it doesn't have to be. It's another consumer pain point. We just wanted to put this up here because without question, especially in housewares, black is the new black. This new finish of these satin matte blacks are just beautiful. They're showing up everywhere. They look great also with polished stainless, but they're showing up across home and particularly in housewares. Just love that.
Yeah.
So here we're looking at, again, the decorative value of all of these pieces. I mean, whether it's this coffee subscription that arrives in beautiful bags or, the sleek design of Dash's Rapid Cold Brew, the Fellows Conical Burr Grinder, not only are they high function for really the connoisseur, but, and also helping you bring, experience to insperience where you're bringing it into your home, this idea of just delivering exactly what you want,
Yeah. And let us not forget the tea, Tom. So It's a whole thing as well in terms of, being able to kind of brew it from loose tea and everything else. But look at these products. It elevates that experience even from when you're talking about tea, not just coffee. And what I love about this is that even the smart app enabled products that allow you to, like that Ember mug, we've all seen those kind of come out, but it really allows you to control the temperature. You're not just making it hot for hot sake, you're controlling it as well. So it's a little bit adding some smart home into it.
The Breville that you see on the left is Smart Kettle Luxe. It's first, I love the fact that it's in damson blue and that you're getting into housewares that are really, again, very lots of decorative value, but also that it has different temperature settings for different types of water. You want a different water for a pour over for coffee than you want for a tea steeping, So all of that sort of sensibility, just really, really wonderful. So the next portfolio 6, is the great outdoors. And one of the silver linings of the pandemic was that it really refocused consumers on the outdoors, how much they love to spend time outdoors, all the things that offers. So it doesn't matter whether it's, camping, glamping, picnics, outdoor entertaining. It just anything to do with outside. It gave people an opportunity to be creative, but needs to be kept simple in a lot of ways. And again, ease plays a role in here. So convenient, fun, easy. So let's get right into it.
Our first persona within the great outdoors is the grill master. Now, people have really stepped up their grill skills and become masters of their backyard domains. And they're continuing to show this off in a really big way through advancements in tools and skills. And you can really see that come across in this spread.
Yeah, it's beautiful, new tools.
Now, Tom, I have to ask, as we've been going through this, how can viewers be confident that the trends that we're presenting in the Trend Index are still going to be relevant in 6 months or even a year?
That's a good question. We've done a lot of analysis. Most important, we've put a great deal of effort into exploring the evolution of consumer lifestyles over the last several years, and especially since the pandemic. We have to keep in mind that in many cases, we're applying that knowledge to these very durable, well-rooted, recurrent consumer trends and aspirations. I mean, for example, there's nothing new about the concept of outdoor recreation and entertainment. But as you said, material and functional innovations alone are creating constant change and opportunity for sales there. Look at non-ceramic tableware, okay? Advances in melamine, bioplastics, even paper goods have changed outdoor eating and entertaining forever. And that's just been in a few years. That in turn changed consumers' expectations about tableware used inside the home. So we just have to keep moving with the trend. There really is a lot of opportunity for new items.
Yeah, and speaking of kind of creating products for outdoor cooking that were traditionally intended for sort of an indoor convenience, look at these nonstick grilling mats from Grand Fusion. It's less time spent cleaning the grill, and that's always a good thing, but those are traditionally intended for indoor convenience.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Here, also we're seeing a lot of influences from other cultures. For example, here the corten, which is a really beautiful way of grilling it. The outside keeps it warm, and it's very presentation oriented, very social. Also, the plancha on the facing page, very high heat. High heat grilling on steel, so we're seeing new techniques come in constantly. And so somebody who's really enthusiastic about it wants to adopt those new capabilities.
Sure. And next, we have the Trailblazer. So this is the consumer that wants to kind of be on the go, and they want to do it with everyday convenience. You look at the Hideaway collapsible water bottles. It lets you kind of take it anywhere, but it packs and it's super convenient and super easy. I love the Hedgehog dryer. You can take it with you, but the really cool part about it is it's electronic. You air blows through that thing, so you could put gloves and shoes and even other type of items you have while you're traveling, and it gets them dry in a matter of moments versus having to sit for hours to wait for something to dry.
Also, this company that you're seeing on the left, Akino, you can go online and create your own flatware to take with you. You can either do it knife style, you can do a 3-piece magnetic set. But again, that personalization and just things where you have your style on the go and your convenience on the go as much as you have it in one place, inside your home.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of style on the go, Polar Box, it's this cool line of coolers designed to become part of the party. And that's a lot of what you're seeing here. They're functional products, but they're in a way that they're styled and designed in a way that they're out, they're on display. You look at the picnic time, the picnic, everything's all in one. It's all encased in one. It's a really cool concept.
Yeah, Polar Box is super, super light. So it has all the capabilities of a regular cooler, but it literally comes with a shoulder strap. That's how light it is. Here again, technologies and also a lot of style. I love the W fan. It's a hands-free fan that you put around your neck, keeps you cool while you're on the road. Milo, amazing way to communicate with people, even if you don't have a Wi-Fi signal it's like a modern walkie-talkie. It's just a great item. Lots of camping style by Aoyoshi, this sort of tinware, but very versatile.
I just had a great idea, Tom. We need one of those when we walk the shows.
Yes, that's good.
I love what they're doing with insulated hydration bottles. They're a statement piece. No longer is it just for carrying water and reminding you to have a drink. It's about, you see kids in school and everything else. They're walking around with these and they're really personalizing it for their.
You would have thought they could have evolved to this kind of style. It just keeps evolving, keeps getting better. Dawn, I gotta say, I love this because we were trying to figure out how we could say backyard badass. And you figured out a way to say it without and got it by the censor, so to speak. But this is about the people who are they love their backyard, they want solutions, they bring style to it. So everything from cutlery that's ideal for grilling and barbecuing to paper plates that don't look like paper plates on the bottom right. It's really about a lot of style.
Yeah, listen, we all know these people. We all have probably been to their backyards where they just we live vicariously through them. They rule backyard entertaining and they know it. Mm-hmm. They have products, consumers are looking for products that really serve multiple functions. Like that Hulasol light up sun umbrella, umbrella by day, light night by night. It's a ambiance at night. I love the multi-purpose use of that.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it. And here again, again, another type of Korean style barbecue grill on the left. And all of these things you look at, space, again, it's what you said before, time and space consideration. The furniture, the outdoor furniture is you deflate it, you put it away. Everything is the Korean barbecue grill, very small. You put it away easily. It's not a big thing on wheels.
Sure. And I love this teak house, the pizza and charcuterie platter on your upper left. I think it's a really great example of bringing something that serves a whole new level where you can serve a group and then it has built-in individual portion serving. So it, again, multi-use, but with the cool factor. It's the ability to kind of use these materials that kind of give individual portions as opposed
and to your point, it's indoors and outdoors. You could just as easily take this indoors for a party. It's just beautiful. The Margaritaville Tahiti, 3 full pitchers. It looks small here because of the image size, but it's 3 full large pitchers of 3 different cocktails, frozen cocktails. It's just beautiful. On this one, Benecasa came out with this propane burner with a stand and a comal. The idea of a comal, center is cooking, outside is warming, so it's got kind of a shelf. You keep things warm, people can go up to it, serve themselves. But again, something that's it's new. So if you're a backyard badass, you want to bring this stuff in to just show other people what you can do. And, I think this is a great example of when we were looking at this, it's hard to say this is in one category. Whatever categories made sense for that trend, we really tried to avoid silos of product because that's not how consumers live. It's not how they shop. We wanted to take a more holistic approach to address product in the same way consumers experience it. For example, when you consider cooking, you don't just cook, you prep, you serve, you clean, you store, you reheat. If we saw directional and innovative products that related to this experience, we included them, like the storage things here or the popsicles. It doesn't matter what category. The consumer lives by what's entertaining to them.
And I think that was a great segue into this spread, Tom, because I think that does exactly that as well. It's, from the wood-fired ovens that aren't just for pizza. And then we bring in projectors and an inflatable screen, and you have popcorn makers. So it's about how the consumers interact with these products and then how they're kind of creating the trend within product selection based on kind of personal style.
Right. And the portable wireless projector, again, great for outdoors because you don't have to take a cord with it. All of these are advances. It's not just a pizza oven. The Delvita can hold a whole chicken. I mean, it's because of its shape. So it's all about advances and new things. Dawn, my favorite.
Yeah. So advances in new things, but also memory makers, right? This is about nostalgia, but every product on this page really makes me smile. And for good reason. They all elicit memories of happier times, of like growing up. I love products that kind of allow me to relive nostalgia with my own kids or friends. Heck, adults, who doesn't want to use the mud pie s'mores board? It's like an upgrade charcuterie board. It's like an adult s'mores charcuterie board for entertaining. And then, I know you probably want the bounce house.
I love that. I love that. I love that splash pit, the inflatable climbing wall in the splash pit. I mean,
I've seen adults order those for parties. So
I love it. Yeah, but making memories, that's what was so important about memory makers, we all have those things. Is a sense of nostalgia, but it's like we want to make new memories now. We've had enough of the and in an economic sort of difficult situation, we really want to bring back things that that make us happy, just create new experiences. The next portfolio 7, is called Second Nature. And as technology and information become really pervasive, we want to reconnect with nature. And a lot of that is happening through simplicity, through the things that we surround ourselves with, through natural materials. So we wanted to take you through some of those trends and talk about what were the most important among them.
The first trend is waterworks, and this first theme really leans into all things inspired by the fluidity of water and calming, cool palettes. They create visual sense of calm and soothing through the color palettes and the patterns it creates.
Yeah, just really beautiful. A lot of transparency, a lot of the feeling of water, of fluidity, of movement.
Yeah. And it's not about the color all the time in the tech. It's about textures. It's about using materials literally from the sea or inspired by it. So it's more than it's multifaceted.
Yeah. Enamels, and again, it brings in new technologies, enamels on wood that are completely food safe. And we talked about Sophistiplate on the left, how they can make something out of paper that's disposable, that's biodegradable, but that completely, you'd never look at this and think it was a paper plate.
Every time I look at their products, I do a double take.
Yeah, it just
I'm like, oh, those are beautiful. I want those. So this brings us into the woods. While wood itself is not a new material in housewares products by any means, it is a steady volume driver. Consumers really love it because of the sustainability factor and the craftsmanship that makes all of the pieces feel and look unique.
Here we see, great examples of that. Hand-carved woods from Sir Madam, Tobe Arrow for aesthetic movement on the lower right. These beautiful things that look traditional, but they are really there's organic aspects to them. This cookware for KN Industries at the top, where you've got an attachable handle. You can cook it on flame. You can cook it on induction. The wooden lids act as lids. They act as trays. They act as trivets, really multifunction, but all bringing in these natural elements.
Yeah, and it also extends itself into furniture. You see a lot of these pieces where it creates this sense of a really unique aspect to it by the materials that it's in.
Here again, swell on the left, this surface that looks like wood. So sometimes it's not the actual material, it's the inspiration. These are all double-walled steel, so they're completely insulated to keep things hot or cold. Just beautiful, beautiful products made with wood, but in a contemporary sort of sense of design.
I think my favorite part about this an overall trend, Tom, was that when we curated these products, it was really about kind of highlighting collections of wood through color. And I really loved that. It all kind of came back down to this last one where it's all dark wood grains. It shows that the trend really allows for kind of personal taste while still maintaining the importance of sustainable practices in product development.
Yes. And I love the way you went from light to medium to dark woods, because in home and housewares, yes, in furniture, trend is for woods to move a little bit darker, but in most home and housewares, all woods are different, which is why you put together this last spread, which I absolutely love, with them, the idea of mixed woods that are combined, everything from the Wusthof block that has 4 different colors of wood to this great sort of parquet work Gibson bowl on the left. Beautiful, beautiful combinations of light and dark.
Yeah, I love wood as accent. I think it's great.
Yes.
And that brings us out of the sharper edges to the softer modern romance. So products featured in this theme really kind of make the viewer feel a strong sense of comfort. Whether it's through the use of warm palettes, softened color schemes, natural pattern themes, either in foliage or florals. And I love that deconstructed pail, the bakeware from Martha Stewart here. Is there a dinnerware to match that by chance? I'd love to.
There is. Of course there is.
No, I think it's beautiful. I think they're all very...
It's gorgeous. There's actually a third color that you can't see. What I loved about the whole look of this is it has that very sort of Bridgerton Regency sort of feeling. It's traditional elements, but treated in a more contemporary way. A lot of deconstruction, a lot of mixed patterns. Just really, really beautiful. Something that appeals. What you said about modern romance, which I totally agree with, is it appeals to a modern sensibility as well as a more traditional one.
And look at, this spread, I love the butterfly pieces. They're so delicate and they have an exquisite feel to them. And experience is still so important to consumers. It's so important to develop products that add to an overall experience in the home. And I think you referenced this, while it does have sort of a feminine feel to it, modern romance overall, I think it still relates to anyone who just wants to kind of bring some of that eclectic or exquisite, feel into their home and housewares.
Yeah, it's just a break from reality in a way. I love the dinnerware by Costa Nova on the right was modeled after cut crystal, but sort of embossed into the dinnerware and then treated with a reactive glaze. So it's a very modern sensibility to it. These Pasabache glasses, that sort of very fluid form that speaks to tradition, but then again, kind of veers away from it,
Yeah, I think what I really love about this one, if I want to call out one, it's the Beatrice ball. I love taking a very classic kind of clean white, plate, but adding flair to it. It adds this romanticism to it that you want to kind of have out on display and use in your home. It's a real entertainment piece, I think.
Yeah, it appeals to so many design sensibility. I love the Lobmeyer carafe with glass. The fact that, again, that really design-driven multifunction and the fineness of it. The fact that the glass is the stopper. Again, we saw that back with the Alessi cocktail shaker. Really, really unique.
This next portfolio, The Shape of Things to Come, it really focuses on the trends of design and style, and it about form, function, pattern, and it kind of have become the next wave of design and sort of brand identity in home and housewares.
Yeah, Dawn, before we move into The Shape of Things to Come, I wanted to add a thought to the question that you asked before about choosing the right trends and, which among these are the right trends for me. And what role style trend has right now. In an erratic or a sluggish economy, many businesses associate trend with risk. And in a sense, they're right. You have to moderate that. But you have to have the right balance of trend product to core product. But I stand on the certainty and the experience that incorporating trends is never going to be as risky as ignoring them. Measured risk is a part of growth strategy, especially in mature industries like home. You have to be grabbing consumers constantly. And home and housewares has become much more style-driven and design-driven. We need to look at assortments with almost more of a fashion perspective. When you look at fashion brands, runway is a fractional part of their business, but it inspires and engages consumers, which drives demand for core businesses like t-shirts and intimates and fragrance and so on. So they understand trends are about evolution, not revolution. Assortments should always have strong roots in core assortments that deliver margin consistently, but understand that today's consumer is more style educated than they've ever been before. And that means providing them with constant stimulus, things that they see as style right. Now I'll shut up and we can get into the spreads.
I can listen to you talk forever. Our first trend in here is new geometries. It's really based on that complex and creative execution of geometric shapes. It's spread across home categories, from flatware to bakeware to cookware to tableware. So it's about appealing to the excitement of a contemporary form through pattern, textures, forms. The first category within here, so we broke them out into categories. We felt it important as we were collecting them and curating them to kind of give kind of these 2-word context sentences about what encompassed that particular trend. So this one's called Full Circle, and it is about describing products that through their form create a perfectly round shape. It's like infinity.
From there, we went to something that was also very geometric in inspiration, right? All the right angles. Of course, they're not all right angles, but angles in general were very important to trend, and they will be very important to trend going forward, both in surface, in texture, in a lot of different inspirations.
Slightly different than full circle, this theme, well-rounded, it really represents rounded edges and a generous radius on all the corners. It's kind of an evolution of the capsule shapes that have been so important for the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's it. It's a perfect way to put it. Stay in the Lines is really more than anything else about modernism. Dawn, you want to talk to that a little bit? I know this is one of the ones you love.
No, I do love this one. It's just artistic, but it's a little bit, to your point, it's the revival of modernism. It's a strong continuing trend. It's strong geometric shapes, patterns, high contrast palettes with color blocking. We've talked a little bit about this, and the rejection of softer and more organic influences that's present in a lot of the other trends. And what I love about it too is the color blocking really is reminiscent of Piet Mondrian, which is very, you kind of see it in a lot of the color blocking and a lot of the geometric shapes of color.
Which takes us right into, sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead, but that takes us right into Blocking Traffic, which was about color blocking and how important that is, both to that minimalist aesthetic that we just looked at, but also very much to, there's a move towards postmodernism, and Memphis sensibility, which we really see here with the neo-flam cookware, with shapes that are, again, geometric, but sort of softer, rounder, and a lot of bright colors and contrasting palettes, leaning into primaries a bit.
And it brings us to fractal magic. And really the beauty of this one is it taking what could be, clean, kind of simple shapes, but adding this dimension to them that, look at that, the Mila, that's a sink. So what you can't always that is it's a kitchen sink, and it's creating this depth through the angles and the shadows and highlights, and I love it. I think it's just
you also pointed out when we were working on this how there was a lot of monochrome in this, and I think you don't even get that sense because there's so much movement in the fractals. It's almost like looking at a diamond as you pass.
It brings the full grayscale into effect.
It really does. It's beautiful. Circle back is not like the first circle one that we looked at. This one is much more distinctively influenced by brutalism, and by that we mean deconstructed circles, more harder sort of a sense of geometrics in a way. It's been softened a bit by palette, but you can see a lot of brutalism in it, these deconstructed circles, and it just, but still beautiful, minimalist, but lots of textural interest. So now we move into golden opportunities. We said the gold standard continues. It's still, what's interesting about it is it doesn't matter what the finish is. Some are bold, some are smooth, some are satin finished, all very glamorous and giftable, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. And that's what we really liked about it. That's the important thing.
Yeah, what I like about this trend is that it speaks to me as a casual luxe. And I think what it also does, especially with products on this page, is it creates giftable moments as well that kind of add this accent of gold, but in a kind of a classic way, and it's not overdone.
Yeah, and I love this A and B home, this sort of deco-inspired bar that would be just as comfortable in a minimalist home, but that brushed gold, and again, it talks to that raising the bar trend that we talked about before. Here again, we see gold in tabletop and housewares, and even in small decorative accessories. Just beautiful, but again, doesn't take itself too seriously. More casual, more about texture than about glam and busy, luxe patterning types of things.
I seem to see gold and black everywhere as well as we were going through the global markets. Do you anticipate this to be the case in the coming year also?
Yeah, it's been a slow build because it does sort of push glamour a little bit to the forefront. It's such a glamorous combination, but yes, we're going to still be seeing gold and black in combination, and these are great examples of it. I love, although speaking of glam, I love Maypra's all gold plated cookware, just so beautiful.
I mean, extending into different categories for sure.
Yes, it's just a knockout. Here Nordic Ware they did such a great job with giving a gold finish to their bakeware that you kind of want to wait until everybody's around to, unpan it. It's just great, and very functional items too, like Colin Mason's grinders, really decorative things that, again, we're talking about, countertop value, things you want to leave out,
That brings us to In the Groove. And the tactile quality of this trend, I think, is the coolest part. There's so much dimension to these products, and they reflect light and shadow, similar to the fractal, but this is done in a way that we see this clearly across markets globally as well. It's just using that kind of texture that kind of gives a texture to everything and reflects light in different ways as well to keep it interesting.
It's also a great, it really speaks to this idea of bringing more color and more texture into minimalism without making it too busy. I love Christian Siriano's dinnerware, Lusso on the left, lots of, it just seems to move as you move by things. All of Alessi's pieces, their new line, which is called Plissé, every imaginable small electric in there, so it's just product that just moves as you move. You keep noticing it out of the side of, the vision.
I really like that concept that things move as you move. It's kind of like that painting that follows you in the room, and
not that creepy, but yes,
kind of like follow you along the way. I like that though. It gives so much more dimension to the products.
And it doesn't have to be hard, as you see here, like Costa Nova's dinnerware. It can be soft. It can be more roughly, like the home guard glass that we see at the top. There's a flexibility to it, but definitely this idea of fluting is important.
Well, and you see it obviously in the organizers as well. I mean, again, just for kitchen. Well, Tom, that brings us to Portfolio 9, the world of wellness. And I think the most interesting thing is that this is a perfect example of the interconnectedness of these trends. While we were working on the world of wellness, we all started looking back and realizing that wellness had a role in nearly all of the trends that we created. For example, Great Outdoors speaks to hydration and taking healthful habits beyond the home and on the road. All About Ease helps consumers really prepare for healthful meals faster and easier. All the way to Immaterial Matters throughout all the portfolios. We've really highlighted products made from responsible materials and that commitment to a healthier planet being essential to our own wellness. Even style-oriented trends like modern romance and Into the Woods, they're full of products that speak to a product that promote a more mindful living. So it's really all-encompassing.
Yeah, I don't think we realized until we got here how pervasive wellness was across our previous trends. But we're going to start it off with the first of them, which is Get Fresh. So freshness is endemic to wellness. Whenever you think of food being more nutritious, better for you, and also reducing waste, because 40% of fresh produce in the US just winds up in landfills. Freshness is about keeping things fresh, about having the best nutrition from them while they're fresh. And whether you're talking about is grow it yourself, make it yourself, bring your own, it all talks to freshness. My favorite here is urban cuisine. I love this furniture that is, doesn't take up a lot of space, but you can have an indoor garden, all those doors closed, that all becomes hidden away. It lets you know when it needs to be watered, and it has, self-sustaining light inside.
Yeah, speaking of keeping things fresh, I mean, food huggers, you've seen them kind of across all the things, keeping items fresh, but here's a reusable freshness preservers. I mean, every product on this spread has something to do about keeping things fresh, and there's a wellness factor in all of that.
And more of those Rise indoor gardens come in every size. Really great company to look at. Your favorite.
I am obsessed with food huggers.
Keep talking about it.
It really is. It makes everything so much easier to keep food fresh without having to have a dozen plastic sandwich bags, which isn't right anyway, with random fruit and vegetables in them. So I love that they kind of make multi-purpose shapes and sizes, so it fits multiple purposes. I have my cans of dog food I put in the fridge.
I use them for that too.
Yeah, it's perfect. But it's a really cool product to really, focus on a pain point for consumers. And I think it's an important product, yet so simple.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those, why didn't I think of that?
The next trend is homemade made easy. So again, we know that homemade food is healthier, but a lot of times it takes time, So how do you save on the time? How do you save on the mess? And that's what this section talks about product-wise. Lakeways Veggie Tools, this vegetable ricer is, you can rice cauliflower, you can rice broccoli, anything really. And it makes it fast. It keeps it in one place. The Blim Plus product, it's sort of all about ease. Blue Diamond 16-in-1 6-quart electric pressure cooker really speaks to keeping things neat, making it easy, making it fast.
Yeah, and a lot of the products you see here really encompasses that as well. You have the Lequay, the veggie snack makers. It's not just about,
kids can get involved in something like this. So it's a wellness factor that kids can get involved in. You put these veggie pieces of vegetables slices and put it in the microwave and you make veggie chips, or their Hasselback cutter. I mean, I think that's the coolest product ever. I could never do that on my own. So there's a product that safely allows you to kind of create these culinary masterpieces with your,
true. I mean, all of these, all the things you're pointing out are about evolutions. You know, I mean, we know this is not, again, not a new category, but I've never been able to make when I tried to make Hasselback potatoes, they wound up being mashed potatoes. You know, so the next one is breathe easy. So of course the home environment has become a focus, right? Because it's our workplace, it's our play space, it's our, you know, home base, and we spend much more time there. So it's the one environment we can control, right? So we want to control everything we can, and primary among those is air. So you know, this is really about that and everything that we can do to relax and encompass that.
Yeah, absolutely. And an interesting part also is, so think about purifiers during the pandemic. What do we use purifiers for? We use them for protecting us from the virus, basically, and it was a resurgence there. Now people are using them to protect them from airborne allergens, from all the pets they adopted during the pandemic. So it's definitely one of those where you're taking a product, and you see a lot of these here. Some of are collapsible, so they're easy storage, so they're space saving, but they're kind of looking at a function of something that you're repurposing it for the trend as it evolves as well.
Right. I love the pad that helps you control temperature on either side of your bed. Different if you want. It's amazing.
Yeah, helping us sleep a little bit better. Mindful matters. So this is a big one for me, actually. I think that self-care is always kind of a big thing. The fact that 80% of people prioritize wellness over things like time and space saving and that type of thing is a big deal. It means that we're prioritizing self-care. So a lot of these products help you do that, whether it's obvious or not. You have, whether it's the smart water bottle that you have that's app enabled, so it's reminding you to drink, or, maybe it's the tea infuser to give you a moment of peaceful mindfulness. So it kind of runs across the board a little bit. I mean, we could talk about the CBD lollipops, but I mean, everything is going into what makes you more mindful.
Exactly.
We also know, interestingly enough, that our IHE Market Watch report that because of 80% consumers say wellness is the most important factor in their home purchasing decisions, mental wellness is also ranks higher in priority over either physical or financial wellness. And this spread really hits to the self-care part of it. It's products that surround mindfulness and moving up, it's customer preference, it's their beauty, their self-care, their ambiance, their spa, candle collections. It's everything about what helps you be in the best headspace. And that speaks to wellness overall.
And it speaks to so many issues about, youth obesity and depression. I mean, it is a big message right now. So it may seem to some like this is not necessarily something you really want to get into. It's a big concern for consumers. So it's a big business opportunity.
That's a really great point.
This again, sort of going on that same thing, the Homedics Drift interactive sandscape at the bottom right. I just came across it and I was so blown away. It just makes these sand patterns that it changes them all the time. Just beautiful. You just watch it and zone out. It's like a modern lava lamp. But also cast of stones on the left side. All of these great products emerging that are new ways of infusing the air with essential oils, new ways to just relax and take a breath. And that's why, Breathe Easy was an important part of this trend.
Well, Tom, I think it's time for us to take a breath.
Okay.
Really enjoyed our journey. And we hope that everyone found that our talk through really informative, and the InSight 2024 Trend Index becomes a very useful tool in planning and developing future products and assortments.
Yes, thanks for watching the special edition of InSight Plus. And if you have any follow-up questions or comments, please share them with us at insight@homepagenews.com. And now we're going to turn it back to Peter Giannetti to take us home.
Well, thanks, Tom and Dawn, for a revealing look at the InSight portfolios. The pandemic, like few periods in our business histories, illuminated the importance of trend and what matters most to consumers. Post-pandemic, amid new market challenges, this business is no longer simply transactional. It's about stepping out to distinguish from competitors in the clearest terms about your products, your brands, and your relevance. In tighter market conditions now, it may be about taking market share, but it'll soon need to be about driving growth across an industry. How will you tell your story? But more importantly, how will you read the market before you tell that story? The perspective will be different for different businesses, but these are the new rules of engagement. If you want to win, you've got to know what those rules are. The HomePage News Trend Index reflects years of expertise and analysis to understand where the consumer hotspots are now and where they're headed. InSight can be a powerful tool. The HomePage News InSight Trend Index connects and synchronizes the teams that run a business. It illustrates how can they think, create, and execute as a team. Product development, marketing, and merchandising can't take place in a tunnel leading to so-called magic price points. Consider the InSight Trend Index as a model for how intuitive, informed, and industrious lifestyle product creation and selection can build a sustainable lifestyle business, and how that requires a collaborative team effort. The HomePage News InSight Trend Index is a collaborative team effort by Tom Mirabli of Springboard, Dawn Evans of IHA, and the entire HomePage News team. It's also a collaboration with and for the home and housewares industry. In a way, our roles to bring you this unprecedented trend report stands as a metaphor for how retailers need to shop shows, how they need to look for more than just products, but look for solutions and experiences. With help from today's deeper perspective on why trend matters more than ever and how that fueled the InSight Trend Index, we encourage you to take another look at each of the report's trend portfolios on homepagenews.com and to see how it all adds up to provide what we hope is a truly inspiring view on how to curate home and houseware success. The HomePage News InSight Trend Index will evolve in 2024 and beyond to support the next wave of trend-activated home and housewares products with added market intelligence and data to provide greater depth to the trends discovered and explored by InSight and the forces that drive and sustain them. Thanks once again to Tom Mirabli and Dawn Evans. I'm Peter Gianetti. Stay tuned to HomePage News for even more insight.